My name is Angelica, also known as Chef Angie. Today, I am happy to bring you some of the flavors that I grew up with in Southeast New Mexico. My love for food started at home. My mom always made sure that we had scratch food for us to eat, and my father always was grilling food outside. Not only do I have a love for food, I love to feed people. As a great chef Anthony Bourdain once said, when somebody cooks for you, they are telling you who they are and what makes them happy. And cooking makes me happy, and cooking for the people that I love also makes me happy. So today we are going to get started with our pistachio cheesecake, and the reason I am choosing pistachio is because pistachio is a nut that grows in New Mexico, so we are going to go ahead and incorporate it into our sugar-free cheesecake. And then we are going to be making a chicken fajita burrito that will be smothered in red and green sauce, which is the two loves of New Mexico cuisine. We will also be making two sides, which is refried pinto beans and a Spanish red rice. Okay, let's get into it, guys. So today we are going to go ahead and start with the pistachio sugar-free cheesecake. We're going to go ahead and start with the cream cheese blocks. You need 4 blocks of softened cream cheese. I like to scrape all the cream cheese off so you get your value for your buck. And the cream cheese should always be softened because that makes for a better cheesecake. Don't ever try to use refrigerated or hard cream cheese. It needs to be softened so your cream cheese can come out. Did I say cream cheese? So your cheesecake. So your cheesecake can come out nice and creamy. So we're going to get our 4 blocks of cream cheese into our KitchenAid mixer. We are going to start mixing them until they are smooth with no lumps. We don't want any lumps in our cream cheese mix. So we'll start our KitchenAid mixer or your hand mixer on low. We'll be adding a teaspoon of vanilla to our 4 blocks of cream cheese. Once our cream cheese and our vanilla is nice and creamy, we will be adding 1 1/8 cup of monk fruit sugar. We're going to scrape down the sides so we can make sure that we get all our cream cheese mixed in there. And the reason we are using monk fruit sugar is so it is diabetic friendly for the people that cannot have sugar. Monk fruit sugar usually does not spike the sugar in people, so it's safe to use. Today I will be using granulated monk fruit sugar for the cheesecake batter. So once your cream cheese is nice and smooth and the vanilla has been mixed in, you can go ahead and pour in your 1 1/8 cup of monk fruit sugar. You want to let the cream cheese and the monk fruit sugar cream together before we add in our eggs. The eggs that we are adding are 4 whole eggs and 2 egg yolks. The egg yolks help add more creaminess to the cheesecake. Okay, so be sure you scrape down your sides. Now we will go ahead and add the 4 whole eggs and the 2 egg yolks. We will mix that all in at once. Once you see everything coming in together, you're going to go ahead and add cornstarch. Cornstarch is great for cheesecakes because it prevents cracking. Every time you make a cheesecake, you don't want any cracks on the top of your cheesecake. So we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch while the mixer is still going. We're gonna go ahead and scrape down the sides again to make sure everything gets mixed in nicely. Okay, that's coming together nicely. For those of you that don't know what monk fruit sugar is, monk fruit sugar has been named after the monks in Southeast Asia that use it, that have been using it since the 1300s. And monk fruit sugar does come from a plant. So it is better for us than refined or processed sugar. So once the mix has come together and it looks nice and smooth, we're gonna go ahead and add our 1/2 cup of heavy cream. And this is coming together nicely. You can put it on high just to make sure it gets all the lumps out of there because we don't want a lumpy cheesecake batter. So the last ingredient that we are adding is a pistachio paste because I am making a pistachio cheesecake and there is no sugar in this pistachio paste, so it is still considered sugar-free. So you want to get all your pistachio paste in there and cream that. This is going to be the last ingredient. We have our pre-baked crust, which was made with sugar-free cookies as well. So it is sugar-free and we have already pre-baked it. Okay, so the cheesecake batter looks all together. So you just want to take your beater off. Go ahead and clean the bowl one last time. Okay, and now we will go ahead and pour our pistachio cheesecake mix into our pre-baked crust. The pistachio paste does give it a nice pastel green color, but as it bakes, it will turn into a deeper green color. So here's our pistachio cheesecake. We have poured it into our pre-baked sugar-free cookie crust. We are going to go ahead and prepare a water bath for the cheesecake. You always want a water bath for the cheesecake because the moisture from the water helps keep your cheesecake nice and creamy. So we have it on the pan and we go ahead and pour hot water that you've had on the stove to make the water bath. You just want to fill it up halfway from the pan. You don't want to get any hot water on yourself. Okay, so now once we have the cheesecake in the water bath, we will be putting it in the oven at 425 for 10 minutes. Once those 10 minutes are done, you turn the oven down to 225. You leave it for 1 hour. Once that hour is done, just crack your oven. Crack the oven so that the heat comes out slowly and you leave your cheesecake in the oven until it is completely cooled. Once the cheesecake is completely cooled, you remove it from the oven, put plastic wrap. Cheesecake does have to sit overnight in the fridge so it can set and the flavors can mingle together. Okay, we're gonna put this in the oven and we will be right back. Okay, so we're back now. Our pistachio cheesecake has baked and has sat in the fridge overnight. Look at how beautiful and firm, no cracks on the top, which is exactly what you want for a cheesecake. No cracks, smooth top. We're gonna go ahead and move forward with the sugar-free whipped cream to put on top of the cheesecake. We have 2 cups of heavy whipping cream that has been chilled. You want to always chill your heavy whipping cream and you always want to chill your bowl and your whisk because the whipped cream comes out better when everything is chilled. So we have our 2 cups of whipped cream in our KitchenAid mixer. We are going to let that whip till it gets to soft peaks and then we are going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. Today we're also going to be using the powdered monk fruit sugar. There's 3 versions of monk fruit that I have used today. I use golden monk fruit sugar for the crust. I use granulated monk fruit sugar for the batter, and now I'm using powdered monk fruit sugar for the whipped cream. So once you see your whipped cream getting frothy, starting to add some volume in there, you're gonna go ahead and drop your teaspoon of vanilla and let that mix in. We have our powdered monk fruit sugar. We are gonna weigh out a cup of it. And if you're wondering about monk fruit sugar and the sweetness, it's actually sweeter than regular sugar. So if you use monk fruit sugar in your dishes, you don't have to use as much because it is sweeter than regular sugar. I always recommend making your own whipped cream at home because it basically is just heavy whipping cream, vanilla extract, and sugar. And homemade whipping cream is always way better than anything you can get at a store. So our whipping cream is getting into soft peaks right now. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is add my cup of powdered monk fruit sugar. And now we are going to go ahead and let this whip up until it is stiff peaks. Once it's stiff peaks, it will be perfect to top off our pistachio cheesecake. You can go ahead and put your mixer on high, just keep an eye on it because you do not want your whipped cream to turn into butter. The reason I chose a pistachio cheesecake today is because back in my hometown of New Mexico, we grow pistachios. The climate in southern New Mexico is perfect for pistachio cultivation. Our summers are really hot, over 100 degrees, and our winters are cold, and that is the perfect climate for pistachios. And it looks like our whipping cream is to the point where we need it. If you pull your blender out and the peak sticks straight up, that is a stiff peak. That's exactly where we need it. So we can go ahead and use our spatula. I am going to just roughly put the whipped cream on there. This is a home cooked meal for your family. So you can go ahead and just pour your whipped cream in there, which I love a lot of whipped cream on my cheesecakes. I think whipped cream and cheesecake go great together. So let's go ahead and just spread it on the top evenly so everybody that gets a slice of cheesecake has an equal amount of whipped cream on it as well. So you just want to do some pretty waves, leave it nice and thick so people get a nice layer of whipped cream on their pistachio slice. Okay, and then I also have crushed pistachios to put on top of the cheesecake just to add a touch of elegance, and then people know what it is once they see the pistachios on the top of the cheesecake. Here is the pistachio cheesecake ending product. It's all sugar-free. The crust is sugar-free, the pistachio cheesecake is sugar-free, and the whipped cream topping on top is sugar-free. So to get a nice clean cut, you want to dip your knife in warm water. And then you will clean it off again. So you would dip your knife in hot water. And here's the cheesecake slice. You can see the crust, you can see the creaminess of the cheesecake. The whipped cream looks beautiful. So not only is this cheesecake sugar-free, it's also delicious. Okay, so now that we have finished our dessert, we are going to move on to the red and green salsas that we are going to be using for our smothered burrito. Okay, we're back now, guys. We are going to do our green chili salsa. We have to start by roasting all of our veggies. We're going to start with 9 tomatillos. Tomatillos are a cousin to the tomato plant. They are more acidic. You want to go ahead and put all your 9 tomatillos. We are going to add some jalapenos, and if you like spice, always look for jalapenos that have vines running through them, that means that they are spicier. So we are going to put our jalapenos to add a little more spice to our salsa. We're also going to add a few serrano peppers. And with the serrano peppers, I went ahead and got the ones that show vines on there, showing that they're a little bit more spicier. Okay, so we have our tomatillos and our peppers in our pan. You're going to go ahead and add a little bit of oil to them. Get them started here. So the green salsa, and to roast all these veggies, the peppers and the tomatillos, is going to take about 10 minutes. So we will go ahead and leave it in the pan, and then we can move on to our red salsa. Okay, so now we are going to move to our red chile salsa. All I did was I got some red hatch chiles, put them into some water to simmer with 3 cloves of garlic. Now they're nice and soft, and we can go ahead and start blending them. They do have the seeds in there, but I will strain the sauce after I blend it to take the seeds out. That way the sauce is nice and smooth. The red hatch chili pepper is the same as the green hatch chili pepper. It's just left on the vine to ripen and turn red. Hatch chili peppers are taken off of the vine early, and usually the way they sell the hatched green chili peppers is roasted. So you want to go ahead and get all your chili pods in there, and the water that you use to simmer them in is what you will add in there to loosen the sauce up. So we are going to go ahead and do a dash of cumin. You just want a little bit because cumin is a strong flavor, and I always use pink Himalayan salt just because it adds nutrients to your food. So go ahead and add a dash of salt. And for added flavor, you can do chicken bouillon, which gives more flavor to your red salsa. So we have everything in there. Go ahead and start it on low. So if you see that it still looks thick, this looks thick, you can always add more of your liquid, just to thin it up a little bit. So now let's go ahead and blend it up again. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to try it out to see if the flavor is to your liking. It has great flavor, but I think it just needs a little bit more salt. Okay, that looks great and it tastes great. So now what we're going to do is we're going to strain it. We gotta keep moving our tomatillos and jalapenos over here. You want an even roast on all the sides. It's just more flavor added to your salsa. Okay, and the tomatillos are coming out nice and toasted, just like we want them. We'll go ahead and leave those for a few minutes more. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and let this keep cooking, and we will be right back. Okay, now we're back with the green salsa. Our tomatillos and our jalapenos have got a nice char on them, our onion. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna transfer everything to the blender. You're gonna put your 9 tomatillos. Oh, I hope this blender's big enough. Okay, now we're gonna put our jalapenos in there. And also our serrano chiles for the added spice. Throw your onion in there as well. Okay, now let's move to the blender. You want to have a cup of water ready because you do have to add moisture to this since we did not boil it like the red chile pods. You're going to go ahead and add your half a cup of water in there. Okay, now let's go ahead and blend up our green salsa. Okay, so I got that down a little bit. I'm going to add our ingredient, which is our roasted Hatch green chili peppers. Our Hatch green chilies come from the Hatch Valley in New Mexico, and they also grow well in New Mexico because of the climate. So the Hatch green chilies have a unique flavor because of the area that they grow in. We're just gonna grab a few of the roasted Hatch green chili peppers, take the tops off, and then just throw them in the salsa. Next, you want to add a handful of cilantro. That goes in there as well. You cannot have salsa without cilantro. It makes it so much better. We're going to add a cube of the chicken bouillon. And we add some pink Himalayan salt for the nutrients and the sazon. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and blend that up again. Okay, so you see the nice green color in there, you see the cilantro, you see the char from the tomatillos. We are gonna go ahead and try it, make sure there's enough salt. Oh, that's delicious, and it's spicy. So the green sauce is done, and we will move on to our chicken fajita burrito next. Okay, we're back now, guys. We are getting to the protein part, so I made sure to put on some gloves because I am going to be handling raw chicken. I have some chicken thighs that I seasoned with black pepper, pink Himalayan salt, and an all-purpose seasoning salt and a little bit of olive oil. They were marinating in the fridge for a while. Now we are going to par cook them. We just want them to brown on both sides. They are still going to be a little raw in the middle, but they will finish off with the bell peppers and the onions. So let's go ahead and put all our chicken thighs in the pan. Like I said, we are not going to let these cook all the way. We are going to brown on both sides, remove from the pan, and then we are going to throw our bell peppers and onions in the same pan to saute. I love to use dark meat when I cook because I just feel that dark meat is just juicier, it's more flavorful, and it doesn't dry out as easily as the white meat does. The smothered burrito that we are making today is a chicken fajita smothered burrito, and it will have the red and green sauce on the burrito so you can get both flavors of the salsa on your entree. Okay, so now we have had our chicken thighs browning. There's a golden color on one side and we have a golden brown color on the outside, on both sides. So we are going to go ahead and remove them from the pan. Like I said, this is just par cooking them. We're just browning both sides. We're going to go ahead and let our bell peppers and our onions deglaze the pan for us. So go ahead and toss your bell peppers and onions straight into the same pan that we sauteed our chicken thighs in. And you can always use a variety of bell peppers if you want to use green, red, orange, just to add more color to your plate. I'm just using green and yellow because they are going to be inside of the burrito. Nobody's really going to see them. And I like my veggies to still have a bite to them, al dente. So I would just saute them lightly. I will chop up the chicken thighs and I will throw the strips back in here. Okay, so now you can just slice your chicken thighs into thin strips. Don't get scared with them being raw in the middle. We are going to finish them up with the veggies. I just don't like to cook chicken thighs in strips because I feel like that takes away from its moisture and its juiciness. Nobody likes a dry piece of chicken. So you just cut these into thin strips to make the chicken fajita for the inside of the smothered burrito. And I cut them longwise just so they can be long strips in the burrito. Now let's go ahead and look at our veggies and see where they're at. These smell great. So our bell peppers and our onions are looking great. Like I said, I still like them al dente with the crunch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put them to the side, and let's go ahead and add the chicken thighs that we browned up earlier and cut into strips. They will go back into the pan. You don't have to worry about seasoning your bell peppers and your onions because they went ahead and picked up all the bits of flavor that the chicken left for us in the pan. So we will go ahead and let this finish up cooking. Once the chicken thighs are cooked through, your fajita chicken mix is done. And we will go ahead and move on to our sides, which is the beans and rice that are gonna go with your smothered burrito. We'll be right back. Okay guys, and we're back to finish up our smothered chicken fajita burrito. We have our chicken thighs and our fajitas and our onions that have sauteed nicely together. And what you're gonna wanna do is find a big tortilla wherever you're from. If you can find local homemade tortillas is what I recommend. I recommend everything homemade. I was able to find these tortillas homemade. Now what we're gonna do is just warm them up. You always wanna warm up your tortillas. It's more pliable so you can make the burrito and tuck all the edges in. So we did have to get an extra large comal just to warm up our extra large tortillas. Okay, so our tortilla is warming up now. So what you want to do is get freshly grated cheese. If you can, always grate your own cheese because it's just better. When you buy grated cheese from the store, they do put a caking agent on them, and we don't want any more processed stuff in our food, so always try to grate your own cheese. So our tortilla seems to be pretty pliable, so we're going to go ahead and move it over here. Go ahead and grab some of your chicken thigh and bell pepper mix. And you can make the burrito as big as you'd like, as small as you like, but it's a smothered burrito, so you know, always keep in mind that we want it pretty hefty and full. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab the ends, fold them in. You are gonna fold the top over, tuck it in, tuck the edges in, and finish rolling it. Okay, so now that we have our burrito rolled up, the edges are tucked in nice, you're gonna go ahead and smother it. So the red salsa adds a nice smoky flavor, and it is not very spicy, it is mild. So we're going to go ahead and do red hatch chile salsa on half of the burrito. And then you want to take the homemade green hatch chili salsa that we made as well, and you will go ahead and put that on the other side of the burrito. So whoever enjoys this burrito gets a flavor of both worlds. You can have mild and smoky, and you can have spicy and green. Just let that fall over your burrito. So now you have the best of both worlds from New Mexico, which is red and green chiles. What you want to do is sprinkle a little bit more cheese on top because you can never have enough cheese. You can add a dollop of sour cream on the side. And then we have our homemade pinto beans, which I boiled with some garlic, and then I smashed them with some lard. And just remember, FYI, pinto beans are only pinto beans if they have lard in them. Thank you for joining me today on Kitchen Secrets with Chef Angie. So today we have completed a plate of a smothered burrito that has the best of two worlds from New Mexico, the red and green salsa. We have also completed a pistachio cheesecake, which emphasizes on the ingredients from New Mexico, which is also a pistachio, and we have our homemade beans and rice as a side. Thank you for joining me today in Kitchen Secrets with Chef Angie. It was a pleasure being with you.